Hello, everyone. Andrew and Kelly here with another installment of our beloved series.
Love it.
Beloved by dozens of people. Monthly movie mini reviews. So we are going to talk about every movie we watched throughout the month of September and regale you with our opinions, which are correct.
Yeah. If I learned anything in seventh grade, it's that your opinion is a fact.
That's right. That's right.
And that's when I stopped reading the books assigned to me. Sorry.
Well, if they'd stop assigning crappy books,
There's that.
It's like Bridge Over Terabithia sucked.
It's supposed to get you emotionally invested.
I was not. Well, what's funny is I read A Wrinkle in Time in school somewhere. I remember reading it, and then I saw the trailer for the movie that came out a couple of years ago, and I went, do I not remember the book like at all, or is this really, really different?
Have you seen the movie?
I have not seen it yet. I'd like to see it because I like the talent. The talent attached to it does consistently good work.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't seen it yet. But I kind of want to see. I'm like, is this completely different from the book, or do I just not remember the book at all?
I haven't read it either, so for me, I have no. Anyways, but yes, I do recall the trailer, and I do remember thinking to myself, well, if I knew that it would be that nice, maybe I would have read it.
I'm sure I would have remembered that. Okay, but to talk about movies we actually did watch,
yes,
or at least I did. The first thing I watched in September was Kate.
Cate.
Yes, Kate, which is that Mary Elizabeth Winstead action movie where she's not a serial killer, a hitman who is betrayed, and she's been poisoned, and she's going to die in a day. So she's got one day to enact her bloody revenge before she keels over.
This is Huntress.
Yes, she plays Huntress in the Birds of Prey movie. Yeah, and
okay, continue.
And she's great, as Mary Elizabeth Winstead always is. And this is essentially just a kick-ass action movie, and she acquits herself very well to the role. She is a badass, beat the snot out of people, shoot them action hero. She's great. And we know she's a great performer and incredibly funny, and she's also one hell of an action hero. So it works in that regard. The premise is nothing new. The whole hitman was double crossed by someone, and they're going to die in a day for contrived reasons. So they have to team up with the daughter of someone that they, contract killed to find out who did this to them and take them out. And do you think it might be her mentor who is the one who double crossed her? Oh my gosh, yeah. The movie does nothing new, and that's kind of the problem.
Okay.
As I put in my little Twitter review, there's a lot of surface level badassery, but nothing particularly compelling, because a well-trod premise only works if the viewer is unfamiliar, which I'm not. I've seen a lot of movies just like this, or if it does something special with the characters or story, which it doesn't. There's a lot to enjoy. It's aesthetically, it's colorful. The action is clear and well shot for the most part. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is always a treat to watch on screen. The woman who they get to play the girl, her young charge, who
you're like the girl.
She's really small.
I get to play the girl.
The teenage girl who is the daughter of the person that she once killed. She's pretty great. Yeah. She does great with a role that in other actors' hands could easily have just been super abrasive and annoying, but she actually is endearing. I just worth a watch, but not terribly compelling. Nothing I'd ever put on again. I will give the movie credit though.
Okay.
It did one thing that surprised me that I didn't see coming. So towards the end of the movie, she's before she goes after her mentor, she gets to the big mafia boss guy, right? Before she's like, okay, I got the big mafia boss guy. Now I'm gonna go after my mentor, right? But she goes to the mafia boss guy, and he's just an old dude. He's like, yeah, we're both trapped in this vicious cycle of violence, and we've both done terrible things, and I'm ready to die. So you've earned your revenge. And you know, he's the father figure, and it's la da 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 da, and it cuts to outside where the young girl is sitting, and this is, I think, her uncle or something like that, and she hears
the boss was her uncle.
Okay. Yeah, and which is why, you know, because she killed his brother, so that's why she got poisoned and blah 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 blah. So it cuts to outside, you hear the gunshot, you see Mary Elizabeth Winstead walking out, and it's like, okay, she didn't kill him.
Yeah.
But
when they fail to show something on camera, it's because it didn't happen.
Exactly. But you know, the girl was sweet talked by the mentor, so she shoots Kate and goes off with the mentor. So now the last act is Kate is, even though she's injured, she's going to have to storm the building where her mentor is with all of his subordinates and the entire organization to save the little girl, right?
Right.
Okay. And this is where you learn she didn't kill the mob boss. Okay, we expected that. What I didn't expect is she storms the castle with all of his minions. So the mob boss and all of his minions, they storm the castle together. I'm like, okay, I didn't see that coming. So good job, movie. So it did one surprising thing, but to be fair, it's a mediocre action movie with some great character performances and some pretty good, well shot and well conceived action set pieces. So not terribly engaging or compelling, but not a waste of time either.
And it's new, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it came out. I think came out in early September on Netflix or very late August, so it's fairly new. All right, next.
Yes.
Miss 45. Okay. Content warning. This is a rape revenge movie, so just getting that out of the way. You've seen Death Wish, right?
Yeah.
With Charles Bronson, right? So the premise of Death Wish, for those who haven't seen it, it's an older movie, is random hooligans break in. Paul Kersey is some dude played by Charles Bronson. Random hooligans, one of which is Jeff Goldblum, break into his apartment when he's not home and rape his daughter and kill his wife, and less important, but also graffiti his walls. So wife is dead, daughter is catatonic in a hospital. And the interesting thing about the movie, Death Wish is actually a good movie.
Well, it was one of the original event, doing
that particular thing in that way. Well, Falling Down came out decades later, but yeah. And Falling Down is pretty different. This is a revenge movie. But so what he does is he buys a gun and then he wanders the streets looking for bad guys to kill. Kind of like what Liam Neeson said, only a lot less racist. Granted, every hooligan he comes across seems to be Latino of some sort or another, but at least he doesn't seem to specifically be going around looking for Latino people to kill. Anyway, it's a pretty good movie. It's got some great character work. It's not without its problems, of course, but good movie. This Miss 45 is exactly that, except Paul Kersey is the victim of the inciting violence. Which this is definitely Death Wish is a regular movie. Miss 45 is an exploitation flick. Miss 45, who I'm just going to call her that because I don't remember her name, because who cares?
Played by anyone of note?
No.
Got it. Miss 45 it
Nope.
is then.
Miss 45 is mute. The character, she doesn't speak, except for one thing at the very end of the movie, which doesn't make any sense, but they thought it was dramatic. I have a theory. I haven't checked on this, but I have a theory that the character was not originally mute, but the performer was so terrible that they just took all of her dialogue away. It's like, oh my God. Okay, you are mute. Your character's mute. No, it's a character thing. You act with your eyes. You're so expressive.
Act with her eyes all right? Does she have emotion that you can? Okay, yeah.
But it kind of works with the way they're portraying the character. She is portrayed as a real oddball who just does not connect with people at all. So that flat affect kind of works in her favor. But I also get the sense that she's just a bad actor and they took all her dialogue away. She wasn't originally mute.
Did she have a heavy act? Because I'm just remembering
the actor. I don't know.
The movie, The Artist, the one that won the Best Picture, like 6 years ago, won not the black and white silent film until he speaks at the end. He says with pleasure at the end. Anyways, it's
was it The Artist or something?
Yeah, The Artist, Jean Dujardin.
Yeah.
At the end, he says something, but it's hilarious to hear him speak because he has such a thick accent, and it's kind of high because he's French, and that's how they speak. And I can't,
Yeah, neither can I.
But anyways, it was very jarring because you're like, that's why he was in silent films.
Yeah. So she's walking home from work one day when she gets dragged into an alley and raped by some random dude, which I'm sure that has possibly happened at some point in human history, but that's not really a thing. You don't just get snatched off the street and into an alley. That's rare at best, from my understanding. Say what you want to say.
So that's actually where I'm at in my evolution of my, weirded out brain. I've been listening to a podcast called Morbid, True Crime Stories. And the ladies, Ash and Elena, are just awesome to listen to. And they tell the stories of like these true crimes. And I'm currently on part 3 of the Hillside Strand. And what you learn when listening to these, so I started listening to these a couple weeks ago, and I have seriously dived it in. I dived it in. And it's the things that truly do happen do feel fake. Like the fact that like there's some abductions just like at a bus stop. And so it's interesting to like, I think that rape is normally something when you know someone, unless it's a serial rapist, and then it truly is.
Yeah, there are absolutely instances of acts of violence committed by complete strangers. That does happen, but that's fairly rare.
Serial. It's rarely a one done like.
I'm probably explaining this wrong, but the point I'm getting at is the way it's depicted in media is that murders and sexual assaults and stuff are commonly these random acts from strangers, and no, it's exactly the opposite. Anyway, so she gets snatched, literally dragged off the street, broad daylight, into an alley, raped, and left there. And so she stumbles home with her.
Left her dead? Do we think?
No, she wasn't. Okay. I don't recall him. I mean, he may have bopped her on the noggin once just to ring her bell or something like that, but basically just overpowered her, and then she was just so stunned she couldn't really fight back. So she takes her torn bag of groceries and her torn clothes, and she wanders home, where is a guy who just so happened to have broken into her apartment.
Okay, well now.
Guess what happens?
I'm a terrible person, brother. Like, because right now myself, like he goes to rape her and he's like, oh, someone's already been here.
Almost exactly the opposite. Like, he did not break into the apartment to physically assault or rape anybody. He just broke into her apartment because he's stealing stuff. And then she wanders in the apartment. He's like, oh my God, what happened to you? Because he's looking at, she's like, look, her makeup's askew, her clothes are torn, your blouse is open in the front. And he's like, well, waste not, want not. And it's like,
oh no, I thought he was gonna be like, well,
I'm a bad guy, I'm robbing you, but now I feel real bad about it. Should I call the police? Are you okay?
Shit.
No, he's just like I guess I'm mad and rape to break and entering and burglary and stuff.
When in Rome.
I know, it's like,
oh God.
So I don't know how.
Not a good day for her.
Yeah, and it's really bad day. Really unlucky on her part. So she hits him, and so she, grabs something heavy and bops him on the noggin and kills him. And then gets a gun and does the Paul Kersey thing and starts wandering around and shooting people. But
good, I'm on her side.
Yeah, she also chops the dude up and disposes of him over a really long period of time. There's actually a really great piece of filmmaking towards the beginning that I thought was really well done. She drags him to the bathroom, dumps him in the tub, starts sawing him up, and then it cuts to her dragging a garbage bag into the kitchen, and she opens the fridge, and the shot is across her kitchen counter into the fridge, and you can see all kinds of little bags, similar bags in the fridge. All of her foodstuffs are sitting on the counter, and she's stuffing more stuff in the fridge. I'm like, that's really great editing. There was no need to see her walk back and forth, unloading the fridge, putting stuff. No, it just cut straight. Environmental storytelling. We can see all this fridge crap sitting on the counter. I'm like, that is the only good piece of filmmaking in the entire movie, but it was there. I don't know if it was an accident, but damn it. I was like, I am filmmaking wise, I am impressed with this one scene. It's great. So this movie is bad. Everything is bad. The characters are bad. The dialogue is bad. The story is bad. The acting is bad. It is 80 minutes long, and it was clearly padded out to 80 minutes. They do kind of a Carrie at the very end where she's at a party and just kills all the men there, even the ones that are just kind of standing around. But a solid several minutes is just B-roll footage of the party and nothing happens. It's clear that they're just spinning their wheels to try and get the sucker up to 80 minutes. There are a couple fun sequences though. It is an exploitation movie and there is some fun stuff. There's a scene where she goes on a date with a guy. Let me see if I can remember this right. She goes on a date with a guy and he sucks. And you're just waiting for her to shoot this asshole. So they're sitting on a park bench and he's complaining about like his old girlfriend or something. And he's like, oh, and she was mad at me and I went out and I was drinking and I was sad and I went home. I caught her in bed with another guy. So I grabbed her cat and I strangled it to death. I'm like, oh. And Miss 45 is sitting there going,
I would
reaches into her purse and pulls out her gun and click, and she's out of bullets. And I'm like, is she finally out of ammunition? I thought Miss 45 is because she's using, a 45 caliber gun. I think it's because she had 45 bullets and that was her last one. No, the gun jams and he takes it from her and then shoots himself in the head. So I don't know. What was weird is like at some point in the movie, I'm like, because she, I think she gets the gun from the second guy who raped her or something like that. And I'm like, is she buying more ammunition? At what point because they never show her like
reloading. She never show her reloading. Okay.
The very end of the movie before she goes to the Carrie party, you see her reloading. I'm like, okay, so I guess she did go get more bullets at some point, but there at some point you're like, Oh, and she does it's a costume party. Of course, she's going as sexy nun, deep red lipstick, very short skirt, that kind of a thing.
Yes, because nuns are so sexy.
Everyone's been there. I'm showing the poster right now, and everyone's been staring at her butt the entire time. So yeah, she wears that at the very end of the movie. Not that there's no fun to be had with it, but it's a boring movie. And the score sounds like a peacock in heat.
So, and I know what that sounds like because brother and I grew up next to a peacock.
I'm like, what is this score? Why are you doing that?
If they don't, like, peacocks either sound like they're crying for help. They either sound like they're crying for help, or they sound like they're actively dying.
It sounds like a giraffe is dying over there.
I do want to let everyone know, because I do feel like you and I spent a little too much time laughing about rape. I hope everyone knows us by now, that we realize it's like, we do not blame victims. Brother and I are very like, and I'm sorry if anyone was offended by us joking about it at all.
Yeah.
I want to put that out there, because we did joke about it, but you and I know each other. And then halfway through your cover, I was like, gosh, we could have lost someone because someone thinks something bad about us. And I just want to be very clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on to the next movie. So the next movie I watched was Nightbooks, which is
one day you're gonna watch a movie that I've heard of.
Yeah, it was a new to Netflix thing that came out earlier last month.
Okay,
Nightbooks, which is a children-focused horror film, fantasy horror. So it's kind of like in the vein of maybe Goosebumps or Monster House or that kind of thing, where kids, teenage kids, are in a dangerous situation. In this case, they're trapped in a house with a witch, played by Kristen Ritter.
Ooh, I like her.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to this.
I was saying, this sounds great. I'm almost thinking like, I want to show it to my kids.
Yeah, it's okay. I like the aesthetic. It's got a nice premise. Basically, what happens is a witch kidnaps a boy and says, you have to read me a new scary story every night. So he has to figure it, he has to write a new story and, read her scary, because she likes scary stories. And if he doesn't read her a scary story, well, she has no use for him.
So it's Scheherazade, basically, only.
Kind of, in some elements of that, I suppose, but it's got a nice aesthetic. I love the design of the house. Kristen Ritter's wardrobe is wonderful. I love what they do with this witch. It's just very glam. It's definitely very fun. But the problem I had with the film is it doesn't really come together overall. I think the biggest problem with the movie for me is the stakes were never really made clear. Like, is she going to eat you or kill you? I mean, I think you find out later that what she probably does is turn you into a little doll and put you up on a shelf, I think.
Oh.
But a lot of times the stakes aren't seriously clear. She's threatening, but it's not clear what she's threatening to actually do.
To be turned into a doll, especially if you still have like cognizance, like and you're just a doll, like
and
it's not. They should have really
terribly clear. Divided, English. It's fun to watch in the sense that there's a lot of really cool things to look at. I love the creature design and the set design and the costume design, and the kids are really wonderful performers. They both do a great job in this, but the problem with it being a very small cast, it's just Ritter and the two kids.
Okay.
There's no cannon fodder to really drive home what the stakes are. If you remember Monster House, which was that 3D computer generated animated film, the house eats people. They all survive, but it's clear what the stakes are. That house is trying to eat you. Got it. Right.
Got it. Doesn't sound great.
It has a big monster face with teeth and a tongue that lashes out, grabs you, and pulls you in.
Right.
Now, when they blow up the house at the end, everyone just kind of walks out stunned, but because it's a children's film, and that's fine. But at least the stakes are clear. Nightbooks, I felt kind of stumbled in that area because I was never. It's like, oh, you need to read me a story, or you spilled the milk, or you didn't feed me dinner. It's like, okay, what exactly happens? I mean, she looks real cross at them and levitates them off the ground in front, kind of like chokes them out a little bit. It's like, I will, they're like, oh, shoot, I'm hanging in midair. It's like, and what's going to happen? I'm not really clear. Oh, we're being chased by the weird spiders in the garden. Are they deadly? I mean, they're cool skull-faced spiders, but what exactly? I mean, they've got they're like the praying mantis blade arms, but they're really neat. I don't know why the cat jumped into a spider web though, because you need to.
Did it get caught?
It got caught, and they have to go back because the cat's a pain in the ass, and they go rescue the cat. Now the cat's an ally. Okay, cool, but why did it jump into the web? I'm like, what are you doing, cat? Weird cat. So,
cat.
There's a cat, so it's good.
Like a familiar?
Yes, kind of. I think the cat might. It's implied to be like one of the other kids was turned into a cat, maybe, or maybe the cat gained sentience, because it's definitely more than a cat. It's not totally clear, or I fell asleep. I don't know, but it's kind of, the whole thing is kind of a riff on Hansel and Gretel, where Kristen Ritter is the survivor of the true witch, and she needs someone to read scary stories because those scary stories are what keeps the true witch asleep. Okay. There's lip service paid to the fact. Yeah, like, there's lip service.
The way you're describing it, that doesn't work.
There's lip service paid to the fact that the house itself is kind of magical and it moves, and Kristen Ritter goes out every day. But none of that's really ever explored. It doesn't really matter that much. They can't escape. That's enough. But I'm curious as to what actually is going on, and they never really say. Well, the true witch is released, and Kristen Ritter gets buried under rubble, and then they and she's got candy corn teeth, which is a nice touch because the witch with the gingerbread house. And then they read her a scary story, which kind of stuns her, and then they push her in a furnace, and then they go home. But Ritter's still around, so was the witch going to eat them? Again, it's not totally clear what the stakes are. For kids, it's probably scary because it's a witch and it's got candy corn teeth, but I felt establishing what the actual stakes were unambiguously would have been. And none of the kids from the shelf, I think, come back. So
those little dolls maybe just burn with the house.
No, they don't burn. The house is fine. I think they just get. I don't know. It's okay. It's colorful. It's got great design. The characters are fun. It's worth a watch. I think kids will probably like it, but I think it could have been stronger. And so I was a little disappointed. So that's 3 from me. So one for you.
Have I talked about Luca yet?
No.
Didn't think so. I was like, because I think I.
Oh, you finally watched that? Okay.
And it was on the last, so I have it in here and I'm like, oh gosh, which one, so we went to at the very beginning of the month, we went up to the school and they were having a on the field like movie watching party for the kids, and so it was a big blow up screen. And then we all had like our designated like picnic area so that we could sit and like watch an outdoor movie. And it was really sweet. And the movie was Luca. And so we were really excited because the kids had already seen it, but we hadn't. And so we definitely were bad parents that night because we were just like, you go off and do whatever.
I'm going to watch it. I don't give a damn what you do. I'm watching the movie.
And it was really, so we saw Luca and it was really sweet. And I can actually say, because I will say, brother and I are very particular. We can't stand the in and out of movies, or like I've had exes and, well, a current one as well, who will channel flip and like start watching a movie halfway through. And I don't consider that watching a movie. I don't even want to watch it because I'm like, I don't know the setup. And it's like, oh, I'll explain to you. Like, no, that's not watching the movie. But I can attest, we watched this movie. It was actually just sat there. You could hear it. It was riveting. It wasn't what I expected, which is because I know when I was watching the previews, sorry, that was the bubbly that you all saw me drinking. Okay, so I know that when we were watching the previews, or when I've seen previews, I didn't exactly know how they were going to take it or where they were going to go with it. But I'm like, so they just have to get wet to be fish? Was this an accident? Were they enchanted? Were they cursed or something? But no, this is just their species. This is just their species, or species that when you get on, you can go to land and be human, and then you can go into the ocean and be a fish. And I'm like,
can a human go into the ocean and be a fish?
Yeah, and like, wouldn't that be something if you were one
it's
of
like
those?
it's like the third act reveal.
Could you imagine? Because like we grew up in Arizona, so it's not. I mean, luckily enough, we spent a lot of time at lakes. But could you imagine someone like that?
Pools and lakes and stuff.
In the middle, like, can you imagine Nebraska? Like, maybe you're one of these people and you never know, and then you take your family for the first time to the beach, and you're like, "This is exciting!" You turn into a fish.
Well, I mean, you'd find out the first time you
took a
wash someone's hands or something like that.
Okay, fine. I like my interpretation.
That's the weird thing, though. It's like I was never. It didn't matter. I talked about this in the video I had on this, but one of the things that weirded me out about the film was I wasn't clear on what the rules were. I mean, sometimes they seem to need more water than others. Sometimes they have to dry off. Sometimes they just kind of flick and they're good. And
yeah.
I'm like, what if it's a hot day and they're sweating?
I also
is the inside of their mouth always fish?
Yeah. There were times, and like, can you drink something? I agree that
drinking okay as long as it goes down the gullet and not on your face.
You can't get your face wet, but like, and that's the thing, is I agree with that, because I also feel like I can't recall the exact time, but I remember at one moment they went to dive into the water or something, and they no, it's when they were fish, and then they jumped out and they were fish in the air, and then they landed back in the water and they're still fish. Whereas when he takes him out of the water immediately, the very first time, he gets him on land and he's immediately human. And I'm like, so then wouldn't you be a human when you were like dolphining yourself up and doing your flips? Wouldn't it be like fish in the water, human doing the flips?
Yeah, sometimes there's one point where he jumps out of the water and just kind of and humans, and then goes back in the water. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I mean, it matters about as much as what about the hole in the back of their pants? How, they've got a tail, they've got holes in the back of their sea pants so that their tails can go through, so that when their tails disappear when they're humans, there should be a big gaping hole in the back of their pants, but no.
It's like that whole Hulk thing.
Movie ruined.
The Hulk blows up and his purple pants just stretch with him a little bit.
Well, Tony Stark made them. So
there you go.
So they're uber stretchy.
Some hell of an elastic. But anyway, so I really like
That's one thing I like. That's one of the things I really like about the Ang Lee one from like 2003 is I think the first major transformation, the one in the woods where he's fighting the Hulk dogs, which is amazing, and I will hear no other opinion. That's so good. How can you not love Hulk Poodle? I mean, that's great. He's naked because he busts right out of his shorts. And towards the end of the movie, he's Hulk is like, need a tiny Speedos because they're stretched to max. I love that. Anyway, so I think I think Ang Lee's Hulk is a lot better than a lot of other people do. But anyway, back to Luca.
Back to Luca. No, but I like it, and
which also has a cat in it, which is hilarious. I love that cat. It's
like yeah, no, but it was really cute, and the characters were cute, and I it's if you didn't pick up on it, it's an allegory for acceptance of whatever sexual orientation or identity you choose. And that's not me reading into it. That was peanut butter smeared.
That's
pretty,
fairly textual.
It's there. They won't accept me for who I am, and and I really do believe that there's what's Luca.
This is my best friend. He smells wonderful.
And he likes a girl, and it really hurts me.
Really upsets me. Yeah.
I mean, more than it should, but it's because I think I love him. And so, I mean, it's real, but it's to have that sort of
two friends just being friends. Now, granted, they are prepubescent kids.
Yeah.
But still,
the idea that allegory. There's a feeling there that he doesn't quite understand.
Right. It's not sexual.
No, it's definitely not. It's just a thing. And I like that. And it's funny because our oldest, I think even the middle, she'll like they said I pick up on it. They're like, there's something going on here. I think that he thinks, and I'm like, yeah, yes. So it's kind of cool. I like it because I think that that's like it's a new theme that you were the one who put it when you said when we were talking, what was it, 2 months ago or whatever, about the newest first gay character in Cruella. Like, it's the 20th first gay character. So it's kind of nice that this one just kind of was unapologetic. So, but it was really good, and I highly
it's cute. I enjoyed it too.
It was good, and I'm happy because I feel like there has been for me, who sees a good amount of animated children's fare.
You because you have kids, and me because I'm a kid.
You are a kid. Yeah, but like, even more than just animated, I see a lot of children's fare, and let me tell you, they're terrible now. Like they're just terrible.
Coco Lemon is what I was trying to think of last time, not Lululemon.
No, Lululemon are fans.
That's clothes, but, right? No, Coco Lemon. I don't know if that's on Netflix or where the hell it is, but that is abysmal. That's really embarrassing. Whoever makes that should feel bad.
Like, really bad. Like,
small kids will watch it because small kids suck and have no taste and will watch anything you put in front of them. Yeah. This is insultingly bad.
So it's nice to have something for the kids that as an adult you're like, oh, yes, you can put on Luca again. That's fine. Yeah. Rather than like, can we watch the Thornberrys?
Even PJ Masks is fine. PJ Masks is fine.
Oh,
I don't like it. It's stupid, but it's not insulting. It's fine. It succeeds in its intention.
Y'all,
Coco Lemon's lazy.
I'm gonna do a recommendation.
Yeah.
So the reason I don't watch a lot of movies, Friends, right now currently is because I'm not going to the theater, and that's a very sacred and special place to me. But also because I'm watching a whole bunch of shows, and one kids show that I loved, and I think I talked about this last year, was Booba, the little hobgoblin that doesn't speak, and they're like 7-minute episodes. Booba, Booba, hobgoblin, doesn't speak. Watch it. Everyone should watch it.
What platform is it on?
Netflix, I want to say.
Okay. Booba. All right.
Everybody watch it. It is good, clean, like gut, like yeah. If you remember the first cartoon, the first scene of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it's as if,
which is gut-bustingly hilarious.
That is Booba. 7 minutes.
Right, now I need to check this out. Okay.
So there you go.
I'm sold. I thought you were going to say something else, which brings me to, did you see, would have been about a month ago now, I think it's like a 2-minute video that was on social media everywhere. It was Steve from Blue's Clues talking about, I kind of left unexpectedly, but I just wanted you to know that.
About that. And then he went on Stephen Colbert and they hugged.
I had no idea he was so incredibly short. That is a short man.
Well, he spent all of his time around
in an animated set with it, yeah.
Little shorty to make it look not so.
I didn't realize he was his tenure was not terribly long. No. And before the second guy came in, and he was the second guy whose name I don't remember was there for most of it, and the current guy's only been there for a couple of years, I think.
Which was funny because Steve played a guy named Steve, and then Donovan Patton came in. Donovan, is his last name Patton? Donovan came in, and he played Joe.
Joe, that's right.
And I was like, why don't we just call you
Donovan or Don or Donnie?
Don or Donnie, yeah. So Donovan played Joe. And Joe was there for quite some time. And
he was there from like 15 years. I think he was there from like the early 2000s until like 2017 or something when the other guy took over.
Yeah. So, because the new guy is still, in my opinion, newish, but it's been a couple of years. You're right. But that's all right. All these past couple of years have just been 1 year anyway.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they like progressively aged up Blue, and Blue is just really an old lethargic dog now? Barely moves.
Although at the same token, I'm just like, where was I? I was at the store, Target or whatever, the other day, and I saw
French import store, right?
Yes, the French import store, and there was a Blue doll there, and I said, "Oh, look at her, she's so cute." And Isabel was like, "Her," and I was like, "Yeah, Blue's a girl." She's like, "I never think Blue was a girl." And I'm like, "Blue's a girl, like Blue's decidedly a girl." It was a thing. Anyways, I'm like, look at her. Anyways, so I watched Luca.
So Luca, we got on Blue's Clues. Whatever. All right. So
this is why people tune in. This is the reason.
I don't really care about the movies. It's you and I bullshitting about random stuff. Okay, so 3 more from me. I watched Scarface.
Yeah.
Not that one.